You spend roughly 40 hours a week at your job, another 8 hours sleeping, and the rest scattered between commuting, emails, and scrolling. So, here's the real question. What were ancient humans doing with all their time when they didn't have to punch a clock? Most people believe ancient humans were constantly hunting, constantly gathering, constantly running from predators, with zero downtime and zero freedom. Life was short, brutish, and packed with non-stop labor. The textbooks told us this. The documentaries reinforced it. But the archaeological evidence says something different entirely. Anthropologists spent decades studying tribes that still live like our ancestors 50,000 years ago, and what they found contradicts everything in our textbooks. These groups worked roughly 15 to 20 hours per week. That's less than half what you're working right now. The remaining time was spent on social bonding, storytelling, art, music, rest, and leisure. But here's what makes this actually matter. It's not that ancient humans had it easier because life was simple. Their free time wasn't lazy time. It was evolutionary time. It was the exact time their brains needed to develop complex language, create art, solve problems, and build communities. Rest and leisure aren't luxuries. They're biological necessities for neural development, memory consolidation, and creative thinking. Ancient humans didn't understand neuroscience. They just lived in alignment with it. Then something changed 10,000 years ago. The agricultural revolution didn't just change what we ate, it changed how we worked. Suddenly, crops needed constant tending. Livestock needed constant care. Work became linear, predictable, and endless. For the first time in human history, leisure time became scarce. Jobs weren't invented because humans needed structure. They were invented because agricultural systems needed labor extraction. And we've been trapped in that model ever since. When we ask, what did ancient humans do all day? We're not just asking a history question. We're asking what we lost. We're asking what your body is screaming for right now in the middle of your workweek. We're asking why, despite having more time-saving technology than any generation in history, you feel more exhausted than ever. By the end of this video, you're going to understand not just how they spent their days, but why your modern schedule is fighting against 50,000 years of human biology. Let's paint two pictures side by side, and I want you to feel the difference in your bones. Picture this. It's dawn 50,000 years ago. A hunter wakes in a shelter, warm from the embers of last night's fire. There's no alarm clock screaming at him. No email notifications pinging. His body wakes naturally with the sun, the same way human bodies have woken for 300,000 years. He steps outside and feels the cool air. Maybe today is a hunting day, maybe it's gathering day, maybe it's a day he stays close to camp to craft tools or repair shelter. The decision isn't agonizing, it's based on what the group needs and what the season offers. By mid-morning, he's done the core work. A few hours of hunting or gathering, maybe 4 to 6 hours total for the day. His stomach is fed. His tribe is fed. The rest of the day unfolds differently. He sits by the fire with others. Someone tells a story about a hunt from last season. Another person works on an intricate bone carving, creating art for art's sake. Children play and learn by observation. There's laughter. There's music made from hollow bones and stretched animal skin. There's time to think, to create, to just exist without a task assigned to you. There's zero anxiety about tomorrow because tomorrow will look almost exactly like today, and that's comforting, not boring. Now flip to you. Your alarm goes off at 6:47 a.m., that oddly specific time you set so you have exactly 13 minutes before you need to shower. Your cortisol spikes before your feet hit the floor. You check your phone, 3 emails already, a Slack message from your boss marked urgent, and a notification about a meeting moved up 30 minutes. Your nervous system is in low-grade fight or flight before you've had coffee. You shower in 8 minutes. You commute for 45 minutes, sitting in traffic, your mind already at work, already stressed about the day ahead. You arrive at your desk and immediately enter a state of fragmented attention. Emails, meetings, messages, reports, deadlines, performance reviews, quarterly targets, and the constant, gnawing feeling that you're behind. You're in a state of perpetual incompleteness. Even during lunch, if you take one, your brain is still partially at work. By 5 p.m., you've technically stopped working, but the anxiety doesn't stop. You're thinking about tomorrow's presentation, next week's deadline, the conversation with your manager that didn't go well. You get home, scroll social media to numb the stress, and go to bed worried. Your sleep is shallow because your nervous system never fully downshifted. You wake up and do it all again. The difference isn't just the schedule. It's the neurological state. One human lived in alignment with their biology. The other, that's you, are fighting it every single day. Imagine walking into a job interview and getting handed not one job description but 7. Security guard, structural engineer, primary school teacher, emergency medic, wilderness guide, craftsperson, and community leader. Then being told there are no weekends, no holidays, no retirement plan, and failure at any single role means your family does not survive winter. Sounds impossible. Sounds like a breakdown waiting to happen. But for an ancient human 50,000 years ago, that was just Tuesday. Because after hunting and gathering ended, the work was nowhere near finished, and these hidden roles nobody ever discusses might be the most demanding ones of all. Start with firekeeper. Picture what managing fire felt like in a world with no matches and no lighters. Keeping one flame alive 24 hours a day in wind, rain, and damp air required constant attention. Finding the driest wood. Carrying embers while traveling. Nursing sparks back to life using dry grass and patient breath until smoke curled into your face, stinging your eyes in that familiar way that meant safety. If that fire died in winter, hypothermia set in within hours, taking people one by one, starting with the oldest first. No metaphor. Just reality playing out around real flames on ground you cleared yourself. Now shift gears to master craftsman. Tools did not grow on trees. Spears broke. Scrapers dulled. Bowls cracked. Making a single spear point through napping, striking stone against stone with controlled violence, took hours of silent, intense focus. One wrong hit shattered rock into useless dust. One slip sliced open a palm, sending hot blood onto your only resource, ruining hours of work. They did this constantly, replacing what the day destroyed without complaint, because complaining never made new tools appear. While adults napped stone, someone else built shelter, and nothing about it resembled calling a contractor. Dragging heavy branches that scraped raw lines down your arms. Scraping hides until fingers ached. Stretching leather, sewing seams using needles carved from bone, thread pulled from animal sinew. When weather turned violent in the middle of the night, you stood bent against wind and rain, holding down a roof so it would not rip away, while everyone slept curled beneath you, soaked but breathing. Now here is the job that kept humanity alive longer than any other, and where the true weight reveals itself. Teaching. There were no textbooks. No written language. Every survival technique, every plant identification, every water source location had to download directly from an adult brain into a child brain, through watching, touching, repeating, failing, correcting, until knowledge stuck permanently enough to save their life someday. You drag yourself into conference calls Monday morning, complaining about slide decks and wasted time. Ancient parents sat by fires teaching children that a single forgotten detail meant an empty bedroll at sunrise. A child who left and never walked back. They carried that weight every day. With absolute calm. Because crying did not keep anyone alive. Love in their world was not a soft whisper over dinner. Love was teaching your child how not to die. Every afternoon. 4 years. Until their own hands were steady enough to hold the spear without yours guiding them. And yet, under the weight of all that crushing responsibility, something impossible happened. Something that proves everything we think we know about exhaustion is a lie. Here is the truth nobody expects after hearing how hard their days were. Ancient humans had more genuine leisure time than you have right now. That is not a mistake. That is not me confusing exhaustion with relaxation. Anthropological research confirms that even with all those hours dedicated to hunting, gathering, tool-making, shelter building, and teaching, there were still long stretches of empty, unstructured time sitting around the fire doing absolutely nothing productive. Nothing. No agenda. No deliverables. Just bodies resting while flames danced on faces and darkness pressed in from every direction outside the ring of light. And what they did inside those quiet hours is the single reason you can understand these words I am saying to you right now. Picture the scene, because it matters. It is night. No artificial light. No phone glow lighting up faces in dim blue. There is only orange flicker against dark skin and fur clothing. Someone is humming. Not a song they learned. A rhythm they are making up while their hands shape a piece of bone into jewelry that serves no functional purpose whatsoever. It is pretty. That is its entire job. Next to them, someone takes red ochre from the ground, mixes it with animal fat, and starts drawing lines on a cave wall or maybe just on their own palm. Lines that curve into shapes that look like animals. Animals they hunted earlier. Animals they respect. Others are talking, not about logistics or water sources or danger. They are arguing about spirits. Telling stories about ancestors who lived generations ago, so long ago the names might be made up, but nobody cares because the story feels true. This looks like wasted time. To a modern productivity expert, this looks like inefficiency. But inside those pointless doodles and nonsense songs, something biological was rewriting itself. The human brain found space to imagine things that did not exist yet. Problems that had not happened. Scenarios that were impossible. Neanderthals were stronger. They had tools too. But they did not spend hours staring at firelight telling stories about imaginary worlds. We did. And that weird habit of wasting time together invented civilization. Language grew faster. Social bonds tightened. Empathy expanded because stories forced you to see through another person's eyes. All of it happening in the downtime between survival tasks. An idea would spark inside one person's mind while they sat staring at nothing. They would speak it aloud. And the group breathed life into it. That cycle of rest, create, connect, repeat built the cognitive foundation for everything we have today. Agriculture. Cities. Medicine. Art. Every single invention started as a flicker inside someone's idle mind during a moment society today would call wasted. Now feel the weight of the contrast. You finish your work. You commute home exhausted. You open Netflix or scroll TikTok for 3 hours, then collapse into sleep wondering why you still feel empty. You had free time. Technically. But you filled it with content created by other people designed to numb your brain does not engage it. Ancient humans sat in silence until a thought emerged that belonged only to them. Then they shared it. Then the group breathed life into it. When you ask what ancient humans did all day before jobs existed, the real answer cuts deep. They worked harder than you can physically tolerate for shorter bursts than you can mentally accept. Then they stopped. Completely. And they used that stopping to become human. The alarm clock did not exist. The boss did not exist. The email did not exist. What existed was wake up, survive, create, love, sleep, repeat. And maybe the reason 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds across America, Canada, and Australia feel so chronically burned out has nothing to do with working too much. Maybe it has to do with the fact that we replaced creation with consumption, survival with stress, and rest with distraction. And until we figure out how to get back to that fire, even for 20 minutes before bed, we will keep chasing a feeling our ancestors owned for free every single night of their lives.